If you're having difficulty with your pop-up, either as a beginner surfer or if after years and years of surfing, the pop-up is becoming more and more difficult, then this video is going to be really helpful. Earlier this week, I had a really good session with someone in person where we were actually focusing on the pop-up, and I've came up with a new concept to make this easier that I wanted to share with you all as soon as possible. Essentially, we get caught thinking about the pop-up wrong, which does lead to a lot of frustration and to worse results, and that's something that we're going to fix with you guys today. So we're going to try and keep this to 5 to 6 minutes, and we'll break this problem down for you and then also provide 2 drills, both in water and on land, so that you guys can practice this for your next session. And if you are new here, my name's Considine, and I'm a professional longboarder, a surf coach, as well as a physiotherapist or a physical therapist, depending on where you're from. And I created a platform called longboardsessions.com to help you guys experience the best in your surfing. And today I'm here to help you guys with your surfing, no matter where you're at. If you do find the video valuable, then please feel free to subscribe. And if you know of anyone else who might find it useful as well, feel free to share it with them. And if you haven't checked out longboardsessions.com, on top of the video today and the detail we go into here, we've got a full framework that will take you step by step through things in a lot of depth, with myself, Brian, and Tommy helping you along the way, as well as the rest of the community. But let's get straight into the edit. Okay, so let's go through a better pop-up in 5 minutes. In terms of who this pop-up is going to help for today, firstly, it is going to be our beginner surfers. A lot of the times when we're popping up in the whitewater, we have a different strategy. We can take a little bit longer. In fact, we actually want to take a few more paddles into our wave so that we can get to our feet and make sure that we've caught that wave. When we start to catch some unbroken waves, however, what often happens is we pop up at the bottom of the wave, and we notice that this pop-up does become pretty tricky to do. It's also definitely going to help intermediate to advanced older surfers, okay? And the reason I say this is because as we age, the pop-up does become a little bit slower. This is something I help with a lot. We want to make sure, firstly, that we do have good mobility and good strength through the core, through the hips, and all of those muscles and joints that need to pass through us. But there is a really good strategy we can use. So for the pop-up, what we often find is that on land, it's actually quite okay, and we can get to our feet, but in the water, it can be a little bit challenging. Now, one of the key reasons is the momentum that we have, and there's a few things that really break our momentum. The first is the drag. So the drag is something that is caused by too much weight on the tail, and what will happen is they will be waiting until they're at the very bottom of the wave to pop up, and we know that the bottom part of the wave down here is where I call the no-go zone. This is where we lose all of our speed, it's where we lose all of our balance, and this isn't what we want to do. And as we're going a little bit slower in this area as well, what will actually happen is we'll notice that the tail will drag in the water and create a lot of friction. Now, the second thing is going to be the angle of our board. Now, we spoke last week about the angle of the board with respect to the cross step being really important. It's also very important for the pop-up, and this is a really key concept that I want you guys to take away from this one today. If we have the board angling down the wave, then what actually happens is instead of popping up, we pop up with the board facing down the wave, which is really powerful because we have a lot of space for the lower body to move through and underneath us. This is really important. If we're going down the wave face, we know we're going to have that downward angle. Also, if we have more speed, we know that the pressure on the tail as we pop up will be less, and therefore we're going to be able to minimize how much of an upward angle that board is going to take. We want that board on that downward angle so that we can propel the feet all the way through. If we have the opposite happening there, and it's up, we literally have to pop uphill, which is really tricky. So the solution here is actually going to be a little bit different for our beginner and advanced surfers. Now, something that I would recommend taking a look at is on longboardsessions.com. We've got our free longboard continuum maps, which shows you the step-by-step process of exactly what you need to be doing in which order to get stuff like this right. If you go into the improver section of longboard continuum, there's a bunch of stuff, all the way from our beginner pop-up, straight pop, the alternative pop-ups, and then we've actually got steps that guide us through what to do for when we're first getting out the back. Most importantly here, the catching unbroken waves, our beginner techniques. And this will move through, if you look through our intermediate map as well, all of the different stages that you need to be looking at in terms of how to pop up correctly on unbroken waves. It's really, really important. Take a look at that if you haven't already. But in terms of what to do with this here, we first have a drill on sand and then a drill in the water. Now, the sand drill is to really get you guys to have a good feel of exactly what I mean by the pop-up uphill and the pop-up downhill. So what I'd like you to do is get a sand dune or a beach where there is a little bit of a negative gradient on that. And I want you to just give yourself a practice popping up downhill to begin with and see how it's easy to move the legs through and how that actually facilitates what you're trying to do. And then I want you to go and reverse that and try and pop uphill and see how much more difficult it is to get the body underneath us. Now, for the drill in the water, for the beginner surfer, what I want you to try is popping up earlier than you think you would expect. Oftentimes we will try to pop up maybe too early because we don't want to ride down the steep wave face on our feet because it's a little bit more daunting. But it is really important to get a hang of this and try to overcome the hesitation of riding down the wave face on your belly. What you'll notice with this automatically is if you do happen to put some pressure on the tail of the board, it's going to have much of a less impact on creating that positive angle of the board up the wave, and that will make the pop-up way easier so that we can let the front leg come through much more quickly. Now, for our advanced surfers, if you have a look at the longboard continuum maps on the intermediate section, you'll notice that we move through to out the back number 2, which is some of our more advanced strategies, specifically dynamic wave prediction, okay? And this is where we're going to be using methods to assess our position in the lineup and make sure that we're not letting the waves come to us, but we're going to the waves. Now, the importance of this is so that we catch a more critical wave, but we can steadily make sure that we get waves that are more and more critical if we put ourselves in the right position on the wave. So again, we can imagine with this one, by the time we get up, it might be on this sort of trajectory, quite neutral. And again, that will take us longer to pop up. So we might actually notice there's more tail pressure for longer, increasing the slant of that board upwards. And then we've got that upward trajectory to bring the foot to get that foot through, a really big problem. If we can get waves that are steeper, this is far better. There's a lot more nuance to that. Again, check out Longboard Sessions for more information there. We've popped all of our information and all of our knowledge into that. So it's really, really helpful. So I hope that was really, really helpful. If you did find that helpful and you want a little bit more of a guide into all of this and more information with more depth, feel free to check out longboardsessions.com. If you have any questions on this as well, then feel free to leave those down in the comments below. And something else that might be really helpful is if you look somewhere on the video here, there should be a video that pops up that's going to help you with your balance when surfing. We'll catch you on the next one.